When you have as big and diverse a universe as DC and Marvel have grown over the years, the best thing you can do is take advantage of that however and whenever you can. This could be through simple references to outside events, or better yet, crossovers. Everyone loves it when two superheroes team up, or even when one superhero teams up with a character that doesn't necessarily fit that mold. It makes the world feel larger, while also opening up opportunities for fun interactions and clever scenarios. But then you get the crossovers and team-ups that aren't necessarily bad. Some of them are quite good, in fact, they're just kind of weird. Sometimes it's because the two allies couldn't be further apart morally, while others leave readers questioning how exactly they came together in the first place. So, I'm Ewan, this is What Culture Comics, and here are 10 surprising superhero team-ups you won't believe. Number 10. Deadpool and the Heroes for Hire. If there is any guaranteed way to make a team-up weird as all hell, it's adding Deadpool. Especially when you're sticking with two characters who likely spent entire days brainstorming how to avoid having to interact with the Merc with the Mouth in any form or capacity. But unfortunately for Luke Cage and Iron Fist, the day did come where Deadpool gave them no choice. In Deadpool 13 and 14, we see Wade Wilson stick his nose into the Heroes for Hire's business when dealing with a pathetic one-off pimp named the White Man. Whatever joke you're thinking of, don't bother, these two comics make it at least twice. What's so surprising about this team-up isn't just that it's funny, but just how funny it is. From everyone lambasting the White Man for his truly horrendous name, to Luke Cage's constant proclamations that Deadpool is in no way affiliated with the Heroes for Hire, these two comics may not have been expected, but God, were they funny. Number 9. Batman and Sherlock Holmes. What's surprising about Batman teaming up with Sherlock Holmes isn't the team-up itself, but how they go about it. You would think that they would do this via some kind of time travel where Batman is sent back to the 1800s for some reason or another to help out Sherlock, like how they handled it in Batman the Brave and the Bold. Go watch that show right now. However, that is not how they do it in this comic. No, instead they reveal that Sherlock has stayed alive well into the Silver Age of comics via a specialized diet, distilled royal jelly, and the serene Tibetan atmosphere. There are so many ways in which that makes no sense. I honestly don't know where to begin with, but whatever. The comic was still a lot of fun, and it was a treat to see the Dark Knight interact with the original world's greatest detective, even if he was wolfing down copious amounts of jelly the entire comic. Number 8. Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. From pretty much any perspective, this is one of the dumbest ideas ever thought up, which is why, of course, it had to be done. Sure, the IDW version of the Turtles go to some pretty dark places, especially right now, but they still have nothing in common with the Dark Knight. So it must have been a surprise, to say the least, to see this comic announced, and even more of a surprise to see it be absolutely incredible. So much so they not only made another one, but also an animated film based on the original comic. The Shredder has moved into Gotham to team up with Ra's al Ghul in a bid to take over the world, mwahaha, and naturally the Turtles give chase and eventually come into contact with Batman. The Turtles, being practically made in a lab specifically to annoy Batman, immediately butt heads with the Dark Knight, but of course they come together to take down their respective enemies. That's all I can say without spoiling what is a surprisingly fun and compelling team-up book that every fan of either or both of these properties should definitely check out. Number 7. The Thing and the Man-Thing. Remember when Marvel would just do something for fun? Well, if you do, then you're probably old enough to remember Marvel 2-in-1. I remember the new one by Chip Zdarsky and not this other one because then I'd be very, very old. But whatever, this was a team-up book where Ben Grimm, the Thing, would team up with a randomly selected Marvel hero or heroine to go on adventures with. So, who did they pick for their inaugural issue? None other than the Man-Thing, because that jerk was sitting right in front of them, and damn it, these guys are only human. It's just such a weird note to start off your very first issue. I mean, it would be one thing if it was just kind of buried in the 100 or so issues the series put out, but no. This was their first foot forward. The Thing fighting and then teaming up with one of the Marvel canon's most obscure monsters, to the point where people constantly mistake it for Swamp Thing. While the issue was decent enough, it was not what people were expecting, but then this is about random team-ups with the Thing, so maybe that was the whole idea in the first place. Number 6. The Thing and Jack of Hearts. Going back through classic Marvel, you'll likely make one of these 3 realizations. Wow, Reed Richards is a misogynistic piece of burning garbage. Wow, Steve Ditko sure did want Peter Parker to be his version of John Galt. And of course, wow, Marvel really wants me to like Jack of Hearts for some reason. Well, maybe they should have thought about that before they made him look like a tool. Marvel really did try their hardest to make Jack of Hearts work, throwing him onto any book that would take him, and this one is no exception. Here, the Thing finds himself under the control of a lesser-known villain known as the Machine Smith. While at first Jack does mistake Ben for one of the Smith's artificial machines, eventually he comes to his senses and helps Ben snap out of the mind control and take down the villain. While not a bad issue as far as fun one-and-done team-up stories go, it did little to endear Marvel's writers or fans to the character, probably because of just how gaudy and over-designed his costume was. Seriously, you get 2, maybe 3 colours, Jack. Stop hogging them all to yourself. Number 5. X-Men and Star Trek. So far, we've seen team-ups that, well, surprising, you can at least see how they would fit together. But then you get team-ups like the one between the X-Men and the crew of the Starship Enterprise. And this wasn't an alternate dimension set up like when Green Lantern had a crossover with the Abrams Star Trek universe. No, this is made explicitly clear to be a time travel story, albeit one that works from multiverse theory, but that still implies that Star Trek is a possible alternate future for the Marvel universe. How and why that works is left with the reader to spend multiple sleepless nights trying in vain to figure out. Besides the pure shock of the meeting and the novelty of seeing Spock put Wolverine in a Vulcan sleeper hold, which I admit is kind of amazing, the issue is a one-and-done crossover adventure that goes away almost as soon as it shows up. Number 4. Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, Triumph and Torment. It's difficult to imagine the egomaniacal Doctor Doom teaming up with any of Marvel's heroes willingly, but I guess when you're going up against the forces of hell itself, you take any backup you can get. At the conclusion of the competition intended to find a new Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Doom just barely comes in second to Strange. As such, aged Genghis grants him a single boon of whatever he wants. Despite his chance to rule the world being literally handed to him, Doom only has one request: a solid chance at freeing his mother, a Romani Magus who sold her soul to Mephisto to save her people from the clutches of hell. Doctor Strange agrees to help him accomplish this, and the two engage in an existential battle of magic and willpower against the Marvel Devil himself. What's so surprising about this crossover is just how well these two work off each other. They're both incredibly theatrical and over the top, but they also have this raw humanity to them that the adventure forces them to confront. I won't dare give away how this story ends because I really want all of you to go out and read it immediately. But to give a subtle hint as a closer, the ending goes to show that Victor Von Doom will always put his mother's happiness and salvation above everything else. Also, it has Mike Mignola. Who's going to ignore a comment by Mike Mignola? Not me. Number 3. Superman and Muhammad Ali. Boxing has never been more famous than when Muhammad Ali was in his prime, so of course DC was desperate to have him appear in some way in their comics for the sheer fun of it. And eventually they got their wish with all-new collector's edition C56, where he went toe-to-toe with Superman himself. Obviously, barring some kind of handicap, this would not be a long fight at all, so Superman agreed to have his powers nullified so that they can see who would win in a fight of pure skill. Needless to say, Superman is carted away from the ring looking like he just played chicken with a busy freeway. The reason they fought this fight was to actually be Earth's champion to save them from an alien invasion, and nothing brings two heroes together quite like an out-of-nowhere alien invasion for them to beat off with the power of punching in the face. DC and Marvel had featured celebrities in their comics plenty before and since. Hell, for a time, the Marvel writers were an actual part of the Marvel Universe, and the heroes were completely aware of them. But for obvious reasons, the one featuring Superman and Muhammad Ali going a few rounds in the ring has stuck a lot deeper in people's minds. Number 2. Batman and Elmer Fudd. Shh, be very quiet, I'm hunting content. These last two entries are the reason we're even talking about the subject in the first place, because not only are they completely out of left field, they are so much better than they have any business otherwise being. When you hear the setup, Batman meets Elmer Fudd, your eyes likely roll out of their sockets and off in different directions on the floor. But you gotta hand it to writer Tom King, because he turned in a tale that wasn't just good, but a legit great noir story. The tale reimagines Elmer Fudd and the rest of the Looney Tunes as the kind of eccentric and wacky criminals / bounty hunters that could only exist in Gotham City. Elmer Fudd learns that his girlfriend, Silver St. Cloud, yep, figured out that one for a second, has been murdered by an associate named Bugs, otherwise known as the Bunny. But when he goes to kill him, Bugs trades his life for that of the guy who hired him to do it, Bruce Wayne. What proceeds is a comic that will have you struggling to figure out if you should hold your breath in suspense or lose it with laughter. It's frankly unfair just how good this story is at blending suspense and comedy without either one cancelling the other out. While shocking to say the least, this crossover is one you definitely don't want to miss. And number 1, Justice League and Power Rangers. Okay, so Justice League and Power Rangers is great, and definitely in the same bracket as the Batman TMNT team-ups in terms of it just being completely unexpected, but also surprisingly fitting. Written by everyone's favourite Tom Taylor and with art from Stephen Byrne, Justice League Power Rangers sees DC's premier team join up with Saban's angsty teenagers to deliver a compelling crossover. It starts with how most crossovers begin, with a faulty teleporter bringing one group into another universe. In this case, it's the Mighty Morphin Rangers' turn to take the big interdimensional journey, emerging in the DC universe after an attack on their base. As always, Taylor manages to find the right voice for each of the Rangers and Leaguers and forges some really interesting partnerships along the way. Byrne, meanwhile, provides the perfect visuals from start to finish, making this crossover, while obviously unbelievable, well worth checking out. Thanks for staying to the end. If you enjoyed that list, please consider leaving us a like and/or a subscribe, and maybe even venturing over to whatculture.com/comics, where you can find more lists and articles like this every day. Once again, I've been Ewan. You can catch me on Twitter at EwanRunesThings, and I'll see you next time. Bye!